As long as we can get redress in the courts, as long as the laws shall be honestly administered, as long as honesty and intelligence sit upon the bench, as long as intelligence sits in the chairs of jurors, this country will stand, the law will be enforced, and the law will be respected. Robert Greene Ingersoll.
Inconceivable!
Will you please act like you have more than a 2-word vocabulary?
Is there air? You don't know!
And now, a yak.
Yakk! Yeah.
Hey, don't touch that dial. You found Secular Yakking.
I'm Robert.
And I'm Amy.
After years,
No, many years of yakking at each other.
we're here to yak at you.
So sit back and enjoy the yakking.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful week.
Hopefully they did, and unfortunately we are doing this a day late and $1 short.
Well, not $1 short because I made money.
Oh, wow, your whole whopping $5 or so.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No, because we're
oh,
a
because
day
you were
late.
at
We're a
work.
day late because I made money.
Oh, because you didn't come home last night
Well,
because of
I
the
did
outage.
eventually come home,
We had a big windstorm here.
and I happen to be on call this week, so guess who gets called?
All right. Yeah, it was a doozy of a windstorm, too.
It was. I got a lot of hours in, but whatever.
Yeah, I had to go stake my tree, except I didn't really have any way to stake it, so I tied it to the shed. But anyways, that's another story.
Whatever.
Anyways, so
Wait.
yes, we are late. Apologies.
Yep, but I suppose we'll get on with the show.
Yeah, one would hope.
And we do have some Twitter followers again this week. Okay.
Oh, is that me?
Well, I was expecting you to say something. That's okay. We've got Karen Michaels, Hoobazoo, Jennifer Crail, Teresa Sheffield, Spacious, the Cinnabud
blah, 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 blah.
Podcast,
There you
and Gustafer 3.0.
And if you screwed it up,
Oh, I know.
apologies.
No, I don't apologize for that screw up.
Oh, do
It's
you?
the Codpast. That's what I was going to say. The Cinnabud Codpast.
Oh, you were going to do your C's and P's backwards?
Yeah, that's what and it just didn't come out right, so whatever.
Okay. Anyways, Twitter's good.
Yeah, and you can follow us. We haven't done this in a while. Where can they follow us?
I don't know.
See, that's what happens when we don't do it in a while. It's at secularyakking. So
That's
easy.
it?
That's it.
See, I don't do the Twitter thing,
Yeah, but
so
you-
it just sounds weird to me.
Okay, we're on show 101. How many times have I said our Twitter handle?
Okay. This is the girl who can't remember
Okay,
yesterday. Okay?
All
Get
right.
it straight.
Fine. But
All right.
at secularyakking if you are on Twitter.
Nope, lost me. Anyways, keep going.
All right, so we do have news to cover, so let's get on with that.
One would hope so.
the
Kind of the point.
kind of point of the show, yes.
Yeah.
So, apparently child marriage is okay in New Jersey.
Yeah. Which okay, this story I read, and it really pissed me off because apparently it was a no in the first place. You know, they had a ban or something on child marriage. Or they were gonna put a ban on it or something, and Chris Christie is like, no, I'm gonna veto that ban. I think child marriage is good.
So, let me read a bit of the story.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just paraphrasing here.
New Jersey almost banned child marriage this week.
Oh,
But
okay.
Governor Chris Christie had a thing about it and decided to veto the bill on the grounds that it does not comport with the sensibilities and, in some cases, religious customs of the people of this state.
That really burns me, okay? Big time. Why in the holy hell, I can say that, right?
Mm.
Would you ban something that prevents basic...
Why
What?
would he veto it?
Yeah. Why would he veto a ban that stops, children from being married off to other adults? Technically, I mean, you're looking at so many different things that is wrong with this.
So he was using the religious rights of people to marry off children.
But that still doesn't hold for me because they don't have the religious right to murder people either. So
No, they
why
do
are they
not.
allowed to have the religious right of child abuse? Even religious people have to get, if they're doing something wrong, CPS comes in after them.
Right.
So why in the hell would he veto something like this?
It's specifically because of religious freedom is what they're saying. That's
No,
it.
nope, sorry, don't agree.
There's
'cause-
no other
no.
reason.
But it's still, how can that be okay, but yet murder on religious basis is not allowed? I claim that God told me to kill so-and-so, but you're still not allowed to kill so-and-so.
Well, I agree with that.
So why is child abuse okay? Because this is child abuse, truly. Because there's so many religions or situations where you have this 12-year-old girl, and yes, there are states, we looked it up, where 12 is, you can marry off your 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Now, how is that?
Oh, and that's 12-year-old girls, not 12-year-old boys.
Yeah. In some states, it's girls are 12, but boys aren't until...
Boys are 14.
Is it 14 or 15? 14. Okay. But yeah, and that's a whole nother thing in itself. But
yeah, why would you have separate ages for boys and girls if it's not a religious reason?
And the fact that they say it's okay to take your child at any teenage, and marry it off, and by the way, usually to someone pretty older, like 30s even, or hell, even 20s is too old. And then sometimes you get like yucky and creepy with a 12-year-old and a 40-something-year-old, I mean, I don't understand. That is child abuse, plain and simple. Just because they sign off on it doesn't make it any better.
Right.
It's like denying your kid medicine and your kid dies. That's not okay either.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
I don't know. It really burns me.
Well, there's some weirdness in the current law.
Okay.
Right. So, male and female, why they separated, I don't know. But they're both 16, unless. And what's weird, it makes it sound like the way that it's written, and for the female, unless parents are of unsound mind. But I think that's just the way it's written. That's minimum legal age in New Jersey.
Right.
Right. I looked it up, and without parental permission, parental, it's 18 for both.
Right.
But what was weird is this weird thing.
Okay.
It's a comment. It says minors under 16 may obtain license by parental consent and approval of court. If a male under 18 years old and has been arrested on charge of sexual intercourse with a single female who thereby becomes pregnant, consent is not required.
Pregnant, not present.
Pregnant, yeah. Okay, so
translate.
That's what I was trying to understand with this. It's a very strange bill. Very strange law. If a male under 18 years old has been arrested on charge of sexual intercourse with a single female who becomes pregnant, consent is not required. Consent for them to get married? Is that
what they mean?
Yeah.
So if he knocks her up, okay, all bets are off, you can marry her.
Pretty much is what it's saying.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever
they're throwing in arrested on charge of sexual intercourse.
Like, no, I was going to say statutory.
It's not statutory because it's under 18.
Right. Because I was going to say that doesn't work either. I don't know. None of it makes any damn sense to me. And this is just Jersey. And, when you look it up state by state, it's kind of mind-blowing, the laws that still apply.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's several with the 12-year-old girls. There's some where they're 14. But it's all of it. It's all, they're allowed to marry off their daughters.
So here's my issue with it. A marriage is a legal contract.
Yes.
And children should not be allowed to enter into legal contracts that could be lifelong.
That's what I don't understand either.
Even with parental consent.
And as a minor, they're going to do whatever their parents tell them because it's an authority figure.
Right.
Parent, whatever. So they're not in a mindset to sign contracts, which is why minors don't sign contracts.
Exactly. That's why you can't sell a car to a minor.
Which is why this is total parents giving away their kid.
So interesting. You can't sell a car to a minor, right? They can't. I mean, they can buy a car. Yes, they can own a car, but you can't lease a car to a minor. You can't finance a car to a minor. Right. Not that I know of.
Yeah.
But they can get married?
Well, technically, they're not the ones getting married. It's their parents basically saying, we will sign this so that they can get married.
So it is child slavery.
In my opinion, it is child slavery. Now, you might have those few incidents where it's, they're in love and they want to get married, that kind of crap. But for most cases, it's so that they could do the religious thing of, giving away their daughters to...
Mostly through arranged marriages, too.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's an arranged marriage. You are going to marry so-and-so because I say so.
Marriages should be illegal
slavery.
As well.
It is. They have no choice. Therefore, it's slavery.
Yeah, it's an antiquated from the patriarchal rule of the past.
Well, and even so, if you are taking a child, whether, your daughter or what have you, and you are telling her she is going to marry so-and-so, and she's still a minor, you're now giving her to the hands of someone who is going to abuse her. Now, the parents themselves aren't physically doing this child abuse to her,
but they're allowing
it and handing it over to this other person. And yes, I keep going back to the daughter's tool given to a man, because that's the majority of how it goes down.
Yeah.
And she is now going to be abused by this person, which her parents said was okay for it to happen. And yet the law allows this? How is that freaking possible? In my mind, there's no way that should be legal, because you can't have child abuse, you can't have child porn, you can't have any of this, but yet by allowing this to happen, you're saying, go right the hell ahead.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyways, I'm just really getting frustrated.
All right, I think we'll move on from there.
Fine.
Have y'all ever wondered what it's like to be a redneck with empathy? Have you never heard of a Southerner who isn't a blathering bigot? Well, have I got the show for you. It's the Podunk Polymath Podcast, hosted by myself, Chris, and it's the sentiments of a secular, sarcastic, screwed-up Southern SJW and skeptic. You can find me and the show on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, or your favorite podcatcher. Y'all stop on by and take it easy now, okay?
All right, the next story is I Can't Believe It's Not Nutter.
That's just weird.
I know. Fabio Lanzoni, a.k.a. Fabio.
Oh, uh-huh.
We got famous for being skeptical of a margarine product. Said on Friday that every single woman out there should have guns in California because Governor Jerry Brown is releasing all the rapists.
What?
Yes, this is a direct quote from him. With Prop 57, he brought down all the violent criminals to non-violent because they were good in jail. Now he's releasing tens of thousands. Now, yes, everybody is getting burglarized, mugged, and robbed in the streets. He's releasing all the rapists. So next thing you know, there's going to be a lot of raping going on. What's the governor of California going to say to the parents and every single woman out there who should be up in arms? He then goes on to talk about how hard it is to get a gun in L.A.
Okay. This story is bizarre.
So he's completely wrong on what Prop 57 actually does.
Okay.
So Prop 57 would actually provide increased parole and good behavior opportunities for some felons convicted of nonviolent crimes. See, Fabio seems to think it is bringing violent crimes down to nonviolent.
Oh, okay. So he thinks if they were charged with this, it's getting dropped down to a lower charge, and they'll be allowed to go.
Yeah, and that's the important part. They were originally nonviolent crimes. We're probably talking drug violations.
So they will be releasing the nonviolent criminals, is what they're saying.
Some of them, yes.
Is it like
depending
you say, someone in there for pot, or some,
or grand theft larceny or something,
or some kind
nonviolent, someone stole a car 3 times, now they're a felon.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't authorize the parole for violent offenders, but it was just this whole concept of people not understanding the laws.
Well, and that's what I was just going to say. People really need to research something before they make a statement like that, especially if you're in the public eye.
Especially a guy who was skeptical of margarine project. I mean, you would
product. Honey, product.
I know.
Not project.
Whatever.
But anyways, especially when you are in the public's eye like that, you should really know what you're talking about before you...
Well, when was the last time Fabio was actually in the public eye?
Well, he's still famous. He's still a famous figure because of his hair and the stupid butter thing. But, that's what I just mean, something along that. And if you're going to be talking about, especially something like a proposition, really know what that's about before you start making a comment either for or against it,
I agree. Yeah, I think this goes into a lot of conspiracy theory stuff, and that's why they get so much wrong, because they don't actually know what the hell they're talking about.
I would say that's where a lot of the conspiracy stuff comes from. I mean, the whole... Yeah,
it's people who think they know what they're talking about, but they really don't.
Right, they don't do some research. Yeah. Research kind of has to go with everything you do. It really does.
It really
Especially
really
voting.
Should. Yeah.
Just saying.
Good evening. Don't be startled, children. I will be filling in as storytime counselor. So sit back, get comfortable. My story begins on a night just like this one.
I still think that's my favorite little soundbite we do.
Okay.
I just love that. I don't know why, but I do.
We've got a little science.
Yeah.
And we want to know what's that coming from Uranus.
That's not pronounced like that, right?
Okay, fine. Uranus.
Yeah, I don't care if you titled our little story, What's Coming from Uranus.
Last month, something spectacular happened on Uranus. Some gases escaped and created an amazing light show.
Did they now?
Yes, they did. A new photo taken by NASA's Hubble Space Telescope
Telescope. Blah, 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 blah.
captures a bit of a light show. Just like on Earth, Uranus sometimes boasts auroras similar to the northern lights.
I wish I could have seen that.
Yeah, well, they got pictures.
Yeah.
Auroras occur when charged particles interact with the planet's magnetic field and collide with gas atoms in the upper atmosphere, which give off light. On Earth, this happens when solar winds, plasma full of charged particles from the sun, get all up in our business.
Okay. So it was a similar
Yeah, it was
thing
solar
to
wind.
watch. That's kind of cool.
And it does actually make it the 1.8 billion miles or so out to Uranus. In fact, they make it way, way further than that, 75 to 90 times further than that, in fact.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
In 2012 and 2014, scientists tracked bursts of solar wind until they produced powerful auroras on the icy giant.
Ooh, that'd be pretty to see, too.
The photo also highlights Uranus's thin ring. I know.
Sorry. I just had to go there.
Yep.
Anyways,
There's
move
a thin
on.
ring around Uranus.
You need to stop saying that and just keep going.
Though it looks like the ring circles the planet around its poles, it actually follows the planet's equator.
Sorry. That's terrible.
There's science here. Let's get serious.
Okay.
That's because, unlike the rest of the planets, Uranus is oriented on its side. I'm saying it properly, too.
Anyways, go.
With its axis pointed towards the sun. Researchers aren't entirely sure why the planet spins that way, but they believe Uranus was hit at least twice by large objects during its formation.
I should not. Never mind.
You done yet?
No. I have a terrible, terrible mind. I should be sticking with the science part of it.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Are you done with that story?
I can be.
Oh, if you're not, then...
No, I'm done. I was just waiting for you to get done with it
Because
yourself.
I need to move on to a different story.
Fine, we'll move on to a different story.
Has In God We Trust invaded your town? Are you tired of government officials who want to plaster In God We Trust on taxpayer-owned property? Are you afraid because your local sheriff placed an In God We Trust decal on the patrol cars? We are here to help. The Original Motto Project is for those who feel the separation of church and state is an important issue and should be honored regardless of your belief or lack thereof. Theists, non-theists, and all free thinkers are welcome. We need your support to show politicians that diversity exists within our nation, and their promotion of a monotheistic religion and push for theocracy will not be tolerated. Stand up and be heard. Join us at originalmotto.us.
All right, trial by jury.
Trial by stone.
No, jury.
Stone.
Trial by stone.
Move on.
Anyways, you had some experience last week with trial by jury.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jury duty, jury duty, jury duty. Just saying.
Yeah.
Pink slip, pink slip, pink slip.
Yeah, we might throw that in there. Who knows?
No.
Former U.S. Representative Corrine Brown, Democrat from Florida, is on trial for allegedly filing false tax returns and committing mail and wire fraud. Both sides have presented their cases, and the jurors are now deliberating the verdict. If she is found guilty,
Not guilty, guilty.
it could mean several years in jail. But there's a minor problem.
Okay.
Early in their discussions, juror number 13 told his peers, "A higher being told me Corrine Brown was not guilty of all charges." He added that he, quote, trusted the Holy Ghost.
That's how to get out of jury duty.
Another juror let the judge know, and he called the attorneys for a consult. Here's where it gets weird.
It's going to get weird?
Yeah. The defense attorney suggests that it was normal for jurors to pray for guidance from a higher power and that he should be allowed to stay.
What?
The prosecutor had a differing view. He felt that since the jurors believed he had received the verdict from a higher power, he would not even consider any alternative evidence at all.
Very good.
After careful consideration, the judge decided to dismiss Juror 13.
I was juror 11.
Well,
Juror 13 and ours got dismissed as well, so that's convenient.
Yeah.
But I can't believe they were actually going to, or the other guy was going to ride the train of that it's good that he gets his answers from higher up.
Well, there was some interesting ideas. The defense attorney liked it because the higher up said his client was not guilty.
Right, of course.
They were trying to use the prosecutor's view that it was the opposite of a prosecutor, right? Because not guilty. And the prosecutor said, I don't care if this person's higher power said they're guilty. I would still want them thrown off the case because it needs to go both ways.
Right, because one of the main things of being a juror is that you have to be, what's the word I can't remember?
Impartial.
Impartial, thank you. You have to be impartial for the case you are on, regardless of anything in your, that you had experience-wise or thought-wise or whatever. You're supposed to be impartial based on this case, on this evidence, and nothing outside of that circle.
Right. So, telepathic messages
Exactly.
from higher beings don't count.
Right.
And that's basically what the prosecutor was saying.
Right. And it's kind of, I mean, I get it, but it's still ridiculous that he's like, yeah, sure, this person's good.
So the judge said this: I want to be very clear that I am drawing a distinction between someone who's on a jury who is religious and who is praying for guidance and seeking inspiration, or whatever mode that person uses to try to come to a proper decision. From this situation,
Breathe.
Yeah, where the juror is actually saying that an outside force, that is a higher being, a Holy Spirit, told him that Miss Brown was not guilty on those charges. And I think that's just an expression that's a bridge too far, consistent with the jury service as we know it.
So translate that.
So basically
jumbo.
he said you can't use your higher powers' telepathic messages to decide a case.
That's what I thought, especially before the case has even begun.
Well, the case was done, right?
Oh, it was.
It was going to jury for deliberation. This guy came and said...
so this was after they already picked jurors, listened to the whole thing?
it was done.
Oh.
This was the
that was
verdict
farther than
session.
I went.
Yeah. This was the verdict section.
Session.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't realize that they had heard the whole thing already and were going to deliberate.
Yeah.
And he was making his decisions based on that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which is why they said they had to dismiss him, because he was making a decision not based on the evidence of the case.
Let me ask you this. What happens when they dismiss this juror, even though they've gone through listening through the whole thing? How do they replace a juror who hasn't listened to the whole thing?
Juror 13 is technically an alternate.
Oh, that's true.
There's 12. You only need 12.
That is true. Okay.
So
I kind of figured.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yes.
I am an old man, and most people hate me, but I don't like them either, so that makes it all even.
That's right.
That's still funny, too.
Potter Award.
Yes. How do we have Potter this week?
Well, this week our Potter Award goes to Mississippi State Representative Carl Oliver.
Wonder how many times you'll screw up that name.
Every single time. That's why I'm just going to call him Oliver.
Maybe.
That's what it says. That's what I'm using.
Fine.
You may have heard of the recent removal of Confederate war criminal memorials coming down all over the South. Something as a Southerner I am glad to see.
Southerner?
Southerner? Yes. But Mr. Oliver is not exactly happy with this turn of events. I cannot speak today.
No, you so cannot speak today.
I'm tired.
Well, yeah. Anyways, no excuses.
In a now deleted Facebook post, he said, "The destruction of these monuments erected in the loving memory of our family and fellow Southern Americans is both heinous and horrific. If, and I use this term extremely loosely, quote, leadership of Louisiana wishes to, in Naziist fashion, burn books or destroy historical monuments of our history, they should be lynched. Let it be known I will do all in my power to prevent this from happening in our state."
Wow. That's a statement.
But
Uh-huh.
he did try and apologize a day later.
Oh, why? Because everybody was all pissed about it?
Uh-huh.
Otherwise, he wouldn't?
Yeah, and he says, "I first and foremost wish to extend this apology for any embarrassment I may have caused to both my colleagues and my fellow Mississippians. In an effort to express my passion for preserving all historical monuments, the word lynched was wrong. I am very sorry. It is in no way ever an appropriate term. I deeply regret that I chose this word and do not condone the actions I reference, nor do I believe them in my heart. I freely admit my choice of words was horribly wrong, and I humbly ask your forgiveness."
Oh, okay, I totally disagree with that.
No, I don't, because I think he used the wrong word.
Lynched as the wrong word?
Yeah,
I think
he should have used execute or murder, because that's more politically correct now.
Well, Not only that, he said what he wanted to say
I
in the
agree.
moment.
And that's why I'm saying.
And he's only backpedaling because he got slacked for it.
Right.
So, no, I disagree with his apology.
I disagree with his apology. In fact, I disagree so much that I went and suggested new words he should have used in place of lynch, like execute, murder, kill, destroy. You know.
Skin.
Yeah. Those are words he could have used instead of lynch, since lynch is so racially charged.
Yeah.
Something not so racially.
But he's like so up in arms about praising basically traitors.
Yeah, traitors.
They were deemed as traitors.
They were not. So none of these monuments went up before the Civil War. Most of these monuments that are coming down now went up well after the Civil War was over.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them went up in the 20s and 30s when racism was really high and the Southerners were still pissed.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So they started putting up these monuments to their Southern Confederate leaders. They weren't American leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Not a single one of them.
Right. That's kind of the whole point of the Civil War.
Yeah. So I'm glad to see them come down. I actually am, because they are technically not part of our American history, right? We should recognize who they were in history books and museums.
Right.
But we should not have monuments to them.
Right, because it is important that it's part of history.
Right.
Just the good and the bad is part of history.
Right,
you
but
can't deny one or the other.
Monuments are there to honor people.
Right,
We should
there's
not
a
be
difference.
honoring these folks.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
Because that's no different than here in America. We honored, during World War II, Hitler all over the place.
Right.
I don't see those statues going up
Right.
anytime
Well,
soon.
where's the statues of British soldiers, or British generals in New England? I don't really see a lot of those.
Right. But I'm assuming he has more he has done in his past to make him Potter.
Oh, no. Not by a long shot.
Mm.
When Becky Guidry, I'm going to go with Guidry,
Whatever.
of Gulfport emailed Oliver expressing her concern about the tax breaks being considered by the legislature, she was shocked by his response.
Okay.
He wrote back, "It is irresponsible of our leadership to suggest eliminating income and corporate franchise taxes when the revenue projections are already down." Oh, no, this is what she wrote to him. Sorry.
Get it right, babe.
Basically, she's saying that it's irresponsible with the current financial crisis to cut income and corporate franchise taxes, right? When that money could go to child care, foster care, roads, bridges, things like that.
Right.
You should vote no.
Right.
And that's a bill that would have cut $575 million in corporate franchise taxes over 15 years.
Oh, okay.
To Mississippi, which is already a very poor state.
Yes, it is.
So he wrote back, "I normally don't return emails that do not request a response, but I found you're so intriguing, I simply felt led to respond.
Okay.
I see you are not a native to the great state of Mississippi, nor do you or I have similar political views." So already I'm pretty pissed at this guy.
Yeah, right? That's
The
what I was
people
thinking.
of our great state overwhelmingly share my same and similar views on government responsibility. I appreciate you going to the trouble to share yours with me, but quite frankly, and with all due respect, I could care less. It gets better.
Uh-huh.
I would, however, recommend that there are a rather large number of like-minded citizens in Illinois that would love to see you return. With warmest regards, Carl Oliver. Wow.
Yeah, it's like, I can't think of what it is, but when you're nice, but yet shoving their nose in the poop at the same time.
So let me get this for all the pedantic people out there. It's I couldn't care less instead of I could care less, because that means he has a lot of care left.
Correct.
Right.
Anyways.
But the fact that he says something like that to a citizen of his state.
Well, she's not part of his state, according to him.
Because she's not a native.
Oh, she lives in his damn state.
She lives in Mississippi.
Now, what is he again?
He's a state representative. And
okay, she lives in the state he has to represent
she lives
her.
in his district.
That's even more so to the point. What the hell is he talking about?
But
he was saying that, I thought he was saying that she doesn't even live in the state.
No, she's not a native.
A native. Oh my God. Who gives two flying flips if they're native or not? She lives there now. You are responsible for her.
Yeah, I agree. You're not responsible for her. You're responsible
You know what I
to
meant.
her.
Right, that's what I meant. But yeah, when someone now has the address in your state, you
work for them.
Work for them, exactly.
Right. So, and the other thing that really pisses me off about this is he's telling her to move out. Now, anybody that's followed me on the original Motto project knows my response to that pretty well.
Okay.
One citizen telling another citizen who has a differing opinion on things to move away is probably the most un-American thing one citizen can say to another.
That is correct.
Because the freedom of speech is incredibly important. Freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, all those go with that.
That is correct. You do not have to agree on each other, but you still have the responsibility of taking care of each other.
Right. I am told on a daily basis I should move back to where I came from.
Ugh.
I'm like, North Carolina? Where am I supposed to go?
Well, for me, it would be pick a state, any state. I've lived in almost all of them.
Right. So saying go back to where you came from is a stupid thing to say, for one thing, because you don't know where I came from.
Well, and two, just because someone doesn't share the same view that you do, why is that such a big deal?
They assume we're foreigners.
Okay, foreigners or not, doesn't change the fact you now live there. Who gives a flying flip where you came from?
Right.
It's where you are now that they are responsible for representing you. So get over it.
Anyway, we're not done with this guy.
Yeah, fine.
It's a good old-time Potter award.
Okay.
He's a state rep and supposed to propose legislation, which he did.
Uh-huh.
This being his first term, I really didn't expect much from him. Most of his bills were fluff about recognizing sports teams or local heroes, including one for last year's American Idol winner. Whoever that was, I don't know.
I forgot.
But I do love when I find two laws that have opposing premises based entirely on legislatures' personal biases.
Okay.
Let's start with HB 614, which states, an act to provide that no public funds of this state or any political subdivisions of this state shall be allocated to the implementation, regulation, enforcement of federal laws, executive order regulating regulations, the ownership, use, or possession of firearms, ammunition, or firearm accessories.
You can translate for me?
Yeah, no federal funds or no public funds will be used to enforce federal firearms laws.
Okay.
You know, states' rights things. So if the Mississippi law is less stringent than the federal law, then they're not going to enforce it with federal or with state funds.
Okay.
Got it?
Maybe.
Okay.
I'm sure everyone else got that, so that's good.
Yeah, basically saying they won't enforce federal firearms laws that contradict Mississippi rules.
Right.
Okay. And then I looked at HB 848, which states, an act to provide that no public funds of this state or any political subdivision of this state shall be allocated to the implementation, regulation, enforcement, or any federal law, executive order, rule regarding... Oh, wait, that's not it. Where did that come from?
It's your own notes.
It's my own. Anyway, I remember this law, and it was saying that you can't set up a sanctuary city.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
That no state funds will be allocated to any city that sets up a sanctuary city.
Right.
So, and this is why I call them having opposing rules based on personal bias. So he's all for small government, the state level, being in charge of making the rules when it agrees with him. But he's not okay with a small government, cities and counties, making the rules when he disagrees with it.
Of course, because it's his way, no highway option.
Right.
Right. Hence Potter.
Yeah, that's part of it, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that's what pisses me off is when they do this. What's worse is when they do this on the same day. They put these two bills which have opposing viewpoints
they cancel each
on the
other
same
out.
day.
Right.
Luckily, neither one of these got out of committee.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. But by far the worst thing, in my opinion, was a bill he sponsored in 2016 called the Mississippi Church Protection Act.
Seriously?
And it was signed into law.
Oh, of course it was.
Which states the governing body of a church or place of worship may establish a security program by which designated members are authorized to carry firearms for the protection of the congregation of the church or place of worship.
So they're armed now.
And to provide that killing a person while acting as a participant of a church or place of worship security team is justifiable homicide.
What? And
to prohibit the enforcement of unconstitutional federal rules and orders for related purposes.
So they're allowed to kill someone in the name of God, basically.
As
long as they're on church grounds.
Yeah, it almost reads that way.
That's what I got out of it.
When you get into the actual bill, there are rules that are very similar to private security guards, right? But if you look at just the summary, which is what I read, just a summary of the text, it almost specifically says whatever a person does on church property can't be held against them. That
is such bullshit. And this passed?
This passed.
That I can't believe that. Well, I still can't believe that passed. That's absolutely... It's not a very far step from basically just making it, across the board you're allowed to kill in the name of God, it's okay.
It's almost.
You get out of the whole court aspect of
Right.
a trial or anything, because if you kill in the name of God, we're all good.
Now, like I said, it does in the law have some stipulations about when you can do it and when it's homicide or justifiable homicide, such as in defense of the congregants or a defense of yourself, things like that.
Yeah, but you could just say anything you want.
Could.
That's unbelievable.
As long as you're on church property, though.
That's still ridiculous. So if someone joins a church you don't like, hey.
They were, it was.
What's that atheist doing in my church?
Yeah, bang. Oh, he was assaulting my belief system.
He had a knife and fork with him. The babies weren't safe.
There it is. That's their justifiable homicide.
Yeah. No, that's so incredibly wrong and unbelievable that passed.
Yeah. This is very similar to a law we covered from Alabama that allows a specific church to have a police force.
Yes, I remember that.
So police force is one step above what this guy did.
Uh-huh.
Which that would have been next to, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah. That one didn't pass, though, did it?
I got to check into it. I want to say it did.
Oh, Jesus. Well, then just keeps going up and up. They're just not going to stop. You're going to be able to kill across the board in the name of God.
Yeah.
Yeah, yay.
No one expects the Spanish Inquisition.
I think I'm done.
All right. I think that's all the action I got for you, too.
And we will talk to you next week.
All right.
We always like to hear your feedback, so leave us a voicemail at 704-802-YAKK or an email at podcast@secularyakking.com.
More input.
All comments are welcome. We like to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. You also can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Google+.
If you like our show, head over to your podcast directory of choice and leave us a 5-star review. If you really like the show, support the show on our Patreon page.
I'd buy that for $1.
And we'll be back next week with more yakking to please your eardrums.
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle.
Bye-bye.